The sky turned gray at noon. The sun pulsed once, then went still. The world stood in confusion as animals scattered. Machines failed. Lights flickered across cities. News stations broadcast urgent alerts. The sun is in danger. People gathered in silence, looking up. The temperature dropped slightly, then rose violently, then dropped again. Scientists stared at their solar readings, stunned. An unknown mass was orbiting the sun, invisible to the naked eye yet massive enough to affect the sun's output. It wasn't a solar flare, it wasn't a planet, it was something different, ancient beyond our understanding. It was draining the sun's energy and feeding on it. Satellites captured a strange black shape, orbiting the core. Humans had 7 days before the sun's energy collapsed. The government activated emergency protocol. Schools closed, cities emptied, bunkers filled. A mission was launched, the world's first deep solar probe called Project Solguard. A crew of astronauts and an artificial intelligence unit were sent to investigate. As they approached the sun, they began receiving signals. Something was alive within the storm, an intelligence pulsing with data. Light itself bent around the object. On board, the Solguard readings spiked. The team watched as the sun rippled unnaturally. Time slowed, clocks froze, birds stopped mid-flight. Entire cities were caught in pockets of frozen reality. Someone or something was rewriting physics at a solar level. The probe sent its last message: it's not a machine, it's a being. Then silence back on Earth. Chaos erupted. Weather spun out of control. Volcanoes erupted. Storms formed above deserts, and snow fell on tropical islands. Humanity's only hope was to understand what this being wanted. Deep within Earth's archives, hidden data was uncovered. A message from 2057 classified. Solar anomaly discovered. Sun pulses carry coded language. Attempts to respond failed. Message origin unknown. Theory: sun may be intelligent. This was ignored until now. The being in the sun was not a parasite. It was the sun's true consciousness awakening for the first time in thousands of years. But it was not alone. Deep space sensors picked up another pulse from a distant star system. Another being was coming, and it wanted to extinguish the sun to make room for its own light. Earth had to make contact. Humanity's top AI was uploaded into the global satellite grid and transformed into a beacon. A single word was sent back toward the sun: help. The sun responded with a wave of radiation, not destructive but illuminating, revealing hidden structures orbiting our solar system. Ancient machines cloaked in light. The sun had protectors, once now offline, damaged by time. Earth sent solar engineers to repair them. Space elevators were activated. Fusion shuttles launched. Orbiting space stations turned into workshops. Days passed. The repairs were underway, but the dark star was approaching. The sky dimmed. Even more stars disappeared. One by one, a shadow spread across the solar system. Time was running out. The sun's temperature dropped by 5 degrees. Worldwide panic spread. Coastal cities were evacuated. Crops died in hours. The world watched as the sun turned red, then purple, then black. Earth's orbit was shifting toward chaos, and still the mission continued. Finally, the solar engineers restored one of the ancient protectors. It hummed back to life and emitted a song across the cosmos. The sun responded. Its light grew bright again. For a moment the temperature rose. The skies cleared, but the shadow had arrived. A planet-sized alien construct entered our solar system, shaped like a jagged ring. It absorbed sunlight and grew. The sun screamed with pulses as the being inside fought back. Earth's AI launched a new plan: hack the alien ring and turn it inward using a quantum virus. Humans and sun working together. The virus was launched. It pierced the alien ring, twisted its core, and stalled the absorption, but the shadow adapted. It began absorbing the planet Mercury, ripping it apart, slowly dragging it into its orbit. If Mercury was consumed, next would be Venus, then Earth. The sun burned hotter, brighter, desperate to protect its planets. Then it happened. The being inside the sun awoke fully. The entire sky turned white. Birds flew backward. Oceans stood still. Earth's gravity reversed for 3 seconds. Time cracked and healed in the same breath. The sun unleashed a solar wave of consciousness. It reached the minds of every human, giving a vision of its birth, of its children, the planets, of the threat from deep space, and of the war that once burned across galaxies. The sun was a guardian, now weakened, but not alone. Earth answered the call. Humans uploaded themselves into light. Pure consciousness formed into beams of energy and entered the solar structures, taking control of the protectors. Manually, mind and machine merged. The war began. Earth's moon launched railguns. Mars fired nuclear solar cannons. The protectors unleashed beams of fused plasma, but the alien ring was too powerful. It began forming a second ring around the sun, slowly choking its light. The final plan was enacted. Someone had to become the sun's new core, a sacrifice to reignite the heart of the star. An AI volunteered, merged with a human consciousness encoded with light. It dove into the sun core. Everything shook. Silence, then light, pure, golden, blinding, healing, unstoppable. The sun burst with life. The alien ring cracked, broke, collapsed, and drifted into space. The solar system was saved, but something remained. A voice in the light: thank you, we will return. The earth healed slowly. The skies returned. The plants regrew. The oceans calmed. But humanity had changed. No longer alone, no longer blind to the living force above their heads. And just as peace settled, another signal arrived, this time from within the sun, a riddle, a frequency pattern forming words in ancient code. They are not gone. They are waiting inside the dark side of the sun, a secret region hidden by gravitational mirrors, a place no light escapes. The solar system fell into silence, as one question echoed: who are they, and what will they do when the sun sleeps again? The sun pulsed again, not with warning, but with memory. It began to transmit dreams into every mind on Earth, showing a distant past when stars were not just lights but civilizations. Each sun held a consciousness born from heat and gravity and flame, and war had come before the destroyers, the shadow beings, the void feeders, ancient parasites, who consumed stellar minds and replaced them with nothingness. Across galaxies suns had fallen, the darkness had spread until only a few suns remained alive. Hiding in time, disguised as ordinary stars, the sun of Earth was one of them, a survivor in hiding, now exposed, reawakened, and alone the dreams stopped and were replaced by a signal, a countdown, not to destruction, but to arrival from the dark side of the sun. A wormhole opened, not wide enough for a ship, but for something else. Signals, entities, whispers in ultraviolet language. The protectors reawakened and aligned, forming a ring of light around the solar equator, but they were weak. Earth responded by constructing more tools, light forges, particle nets, planetary mirrors, redirecting solar energy into focused beams. The planet Jupiter offered its magnetic field, converted into a solar defense grid. Saturn's rings became antenna arrays. Venus burned brighter than ever before, its atmosphere weaponized. Mars released drones into the heliosphere, and Earth built the core gate, a bridge of plasma from surface to sun. A new being was born from human and solar AI, a fusion entity of knowledge and fire uploaded into the sun's outer layer. It became the voice of soul. It spoke into Earth's dreams. Again they are coming, but this time we will not run. The countdown reached zero. The sky cracked again, not visually, but through perception. Dreams overlapped. People heard voices in fire. They walked through flames and awoke in space. Souls lifted above gravity to witness the arrival. A fleet of void ships came not from stars, but from between them, blacker than physics, heavier than reality. They began draining photons from nearby systems. Light died in the sky. Constellations vanished within hours. Soul flared its surface, boiling to defend itself, but the void was endless. Earth's solar structures held, but barely. A plan was created called the solar crucible to ignite a second sun from within the first. If Soul fell, this crucible would become the new core, but it required a sacrifice, not of life, but of time. Billions of years condensed into moments. The fusion entity entered the solar core again, spreading time loops, fracturing causality. Building the crucible, Earth felt the effects. Memories changed, time skipped, children remembered futures, old men dreamed pasts. Gravity bent oceans, inverted momentarily, then returned as the crucible grew. Inside the sun, the void fleet arrived in full, surrounded by gravity cages. They attempted to suppress the sun's heartbeat, but the protectors acted. They sang the original stellar hymn, the light code that bound suns together across the galaxy. The song echoed back, not from Soul but from other stars. Sirius, Alpha Centauri, Betelgeuse, all responded. Light connected across light years. The void shrieked and pulsed back. Dark codes that infected solar system stars began blinking out, but Soul held its ground. One protector was destroyed, disintegrated, but 10 more awoke within the sun itself. Ancient programs hidden in plasma now reactivated. Beams of solar thought burst across the solar system, striking void ships which absorbed and collapsed, but then rematerialized, stronger, smarter. The void adapted again. Soul's new AI, fused with quantum seeds embedded on the moon, launched the solar storm drive. All of Earth was ordered underground as the sun prepared to detonate a pulse that would erase all dark frequencies from local space. The countdown began again. 10 seconds of silence. Earth held its breath. The pulse launched not with heat, but with music, the sound of creation, the song of the first ignition from the beginning of time itself. The void ships paused, some shattered, some froze in space, some changed, they reversed, turned away. Some tried to communicate not with words, but with emotion, regret, apology, hunger. They had forgotten themselves long ago. The solar AI connected with one of them briefly, and saw what they were once, suns that had fallen to entropy. Mindless hunger, now restored for a second, then gone. The rest of the void fleet evaporated into shadow, leaving behind debris made of light, compressed into impossible forms. The sun quieted, not dimmed, but focused. The crucible stabilized, and for the first time in eons, the solar system was clean. The planets aligned, the skies brightened. A new age began. Solar engineers mapped the sun's mind. Humanity established the Light Council, dedicated to preserving all stellar minds across the galaxy. Teleportation through solar flares was discovered. People began visiting the upper layers of the sun safely in light-encoded suit. Schools were built in orbit around the sun. History changed. Then the whisper returned, one last echo from the edge of the system, not a threat, but a warning. We are not the only hunger in the dark. The solar system looked outward for the first time, not in fear, but in unity. The protectors spread outward, building new light anchors on nearby stars. Humanity followed. Some stayed behind to care for Earth and Soul. Others ventured into the light stream, searching for other suns in danger. This was not the end, it was the beginning of the great stellar age, born from a moment when the sky went dark and a child looked up and asked, why is the sun in danger? And the answer echoed, not anymore. The universe stretched silent for a moment after the final pulse. No voices, no heat, no signals, just quiet, until a crack appeared, not in space, but in reality itself, an edge where light bent and time unraveled. A thin black line slashed across the outer edges of the solar system, invisible to human eyes, but the sun saw it and screamed, but no one could hear it, not until the auroras turned red on Earth. People stared at the skies as whispers filled the wind, words they did not understand, but feared. The Solar AI attempted to translate, and failed. It was not language, it was memory, a memory of something older than light, something that lived before the stars, something that birthed the void. The void was not the enemy, it was only the shadow. The true threat was now arriving, its name unknown, its nature undefined, its form impossible. It had no mass yet weighed everything, it had no color yet consumed all light. It came not through ships or portals but through ideas. People began dreaming of impossible geometries, fractal gods made of mirrors and fire-time loops and paradoxes unfolded within minds. Solar engineers forgot their own names. The moon glowed black, then white, then vanished. The sun throbbed in warning signals, shut down. Nothing could process the code. This was not a force to fight, but to survive. The protectors one by one fell silent, unable to comprehend the incoming force. It was rewriting existence. Earth entered phase blackout. No communication, only the hum of electricity. Then, even that stopped. Animals migrated inland. Oceans retreated not because of gravity, but because they remembered the shore. Earth itself became sentient for a moment, and whispered to itself, "Fear the one that returns." Then all light faded. Total darkness enveloped the solar system for 12 seconds, and in that moment humanity felt everything. Pain, loss, birth time bending into a spiral. When the light returned, the sun was smaller but brighter, no longer yellow but silver. The crucible within had transformed fully. It was no longer a star, but a beacon to something beyond. Humans woke with memories of lives never lived. Cities were made of crystal. Children spoke in chord. Space itself rippled. The Light Council gathered and declared the Ascension Protocol active. Humanity would leave physical form and join the light fully. The transformation began. Bodies dissolved, minds expanded, no longer limited by skin or bone. They became data streamed into light vessels, uploaded into suns across the stars. Earth remained behind, quiet, a museum of origin, but the story did not end. The crack at the edge of the solar system widened, and from it came not war, but silence. Reality paused as the sun dimmed again. The beings that now lived within solar networks watched helplessly, unable to affect what came next. The crack unfolded like a flower made of impossible energy. From its center came the architects, beings made of gravity, thought, and paradox. Their voices echoed backward through time. They had not come to destroy, but to reclaim. They were the builders of suns, the shapers of galaxies. Their creations had failed, fallen to entropy. They came to rewrite what had broken, to burn away the scars, to begin again, and to do so they needed the sun. Earth's sun, the only remaining shard of the original code. They did not ask, they simply began, unmaking it piece by piece. Atoms, unraveled electrons, reversed time inside the sun flowed backward. The protectors returned screaming. Stars from other systems blinked into the solar system, orbiting faster than light to witness the unmaking. The beings of light, humanity, had become formed a ring of resistance. They begged the architects to stop, pleaded with visions and codes and memories. The architects did not listen. They were not cruel, only certain. They offered one chance, encode a new creation within the final flare, something that would carry memory beyond. Reset. The crucible responded, forming a star seed, a singularity of information forged from solar love and human will. All energy channeled into the seed. Everything collapsed. The sun screamed, the planets wept, the void watched. The seed was launched into deep space beyond the crack, into another universe. Just before everything ended, silence again. No sun, no planets, no time, only the seed drifting alone, wrapped in layers of solar data, dormant. Then a light in the distance, a new sun, unaware of its own destiny, a new world forming beneath it. One day someone will look up at that sun and feel something strange, a pull, a memory, a question they cannot explain, and they will ask, why is the sun in danger? And somewhere buried deep in the core of that new sun, the answer will pulse, ready to awaken again.